Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I'm here with a layout process video as part of the team over at the Counterfeit Kit Challenge group. And if you don't know about our group, I will leave you links below. But we offer lots of scrapbooking inspiration every month, and this time around we have our first challenge of the month, which is to use at least 5 layers for something. And I'm going to take that 5 idea and the layering idea in a couple of different directions. I pulled out these photos, which are actually part of a larger story, so I'm going to end up doing 3 layouts with these for this series of photos. But today I'm just working on this one, which is actually inspired by that piece right there that I created in my doodling embellishment video, and I'll link you up to that if you don't know about that. That piece says "You are weird and I like it," and it was inspired by an existing scrapbooking product. And since my daughter is a theater kid and a lot of her friends are all weirdos, which we use in a very affectionate and loving way, it's not a mean word in our household and in our friend group, I love to tell these stories about these theater kids. So I am sorting through my counterfeit kit, and I'll link you up if you haven't seen my kit build either, and trying to find the bits and pieces that will work. Now, because the challenge is layering, I know that my 6x6 paper pads in my kit this month will be perfect. However, what I didn't think about was when I pulled out my original 6x6 papers for my big layering, the colors did not go with the that phrase piece that I had created. So when I do my embellishment creation, sometimes I really focus on making it match with my kit, and sometimes I'm just focusing on showing examples for YouTube viewers. And so this time around, I was just showing an example without thinking about the colors of my kit. So I went back to my paper pads, and luckily I was able to pull out colors that could go along with that phrase embellishment well enough, because I'm going to incorporate that embellishment into my title. So I've got lots of layers of pattern paper from the 6x6 pattern pads. The upper paper is a polka dot. I know it's hard to see on the screen, but it is a subtle polka dot that matches the colors of the papers that I pulled. Now, because these are lots of layers, I am going to punch out shapes from the covered up bits, and we'll get to that in a moment. In the meantime, I'm working on my title, and I am loving that clear embellishment mat from scrapbook.com. I'm sure it has another name than that, but it is slightly sticky, and it works for a lot of title alignment and things like that. So I'm loving that mat. Okay, so I have this strip that looks similar to tickets, which is why I cut it off of a larger sheet of pattern paper. But because I switched up my layers back there, the whiteness of that ticket strip was blending in too much with the whiteness of these new pattern papers. My other choices were darker colors, so there was more pop. So I matted that with some gray, just a neutral color from my paper pad that I could make work. And I'm popping all of this stuff, all of my title elements up on foam dots. So that kind of ticket strip, the word "hi," and then this phrase embellishment here is going to finish my title. So it says, "Hi, theater kids, you are weird and I like it." So that is my full title for this layout. And because the colors in my word "hi" and my phrase embellishment aren't the same, I need to incorporate these colors across the layout. Now, the star pattern paper back there helps, and having these sheets of pattern paper in various colors are going to help also, and using them, the hidden parts of them, to punch out other pieces for embellishing is going to work nicely. So now I've got to cover up all those punched out areas so that they're not seen. So if layering paper makes you worried about kind of, quote unquote, wasting paper, I always try to do this kind of thing where I can gut or punch out or somehow save that covered up layer for some other use. And here I'm going to use it for those embellishments. So I'm going to go through the process of very carefully aligning my upper layers of paper so that I'm covering up all the holes back there. And now the pieces that I have left over can be used for embellishing. And that's going to help between the stars that I punched out and these kind of zigzag circles that I punched out. There's got to be another word for that. With all of these layers, that's going to help tie in the colors from the various parts of the phrases that I've used for my title. Now, I did want to keep going with the layering since we have the idea of layering at least 5 things. I did go back to some of that green and created some little banner pieces that are going to layer behind my embellishments, and we'll see how I use those up some more in a minute. So I am building up my embellishment clusters. At first I thought I was going to put the banners behind these circles, but then I happened to put it on top and I liked it much better that way. And this is where I'm mixing and matching my stars so that I'm pulling all those colors from my title across together to kind of make a cohesive little embellishment cluster. And I am sure to use at least 5 elements on this embellishment cluster. And I've got, 6 pattern papers back there on my big layering cluster behind my photo. So I've met the challenge for sure, but I'm going to keep going with more banners behind the beginning of my title. So I've got at least 5 little banners, and I've popped those up with some stars as well to spread out all of the banners and stars, or to make it cohesive rather, across the whole layout. And then I am outlining my photos because they're white edged photos on basically white paper. Wanted the pop a little bit more, and also because I had just one section of black in that title, I wanted to pull in more black. So outlining my photos, adding the date in the upper right hand corner with the black, and then adding my journal around the photos with the black as well helps tie that color together also. And here is how my final layered layout turned out. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I will give you some close-ups as we go, and let me know how you feel about doing lots of layers. I am not a huge layering person, although I am moving more in that direction. So this was a bit of a challenge for me, and having those 6x6 paper pads definitely helps me feel like I'm not wasting paper because I can just throw a whole sheet on there and I'm good to go. All right, I think I have one more video coming for you later this week, and that will wrap up the week, I believe, on Saturday. And until then, I hope you have artful days.